special people that God puts in our path who can help us grow as Christians, can mend the nets so that we're more effective in God's service, can set the fractured limbs so that we're able to work for God as powerfully and effectively as we ought to be. But Paul goes on from there to talk about what the effect these people actually have. You see, when we do these works of service that they prepare us for, it has an effect not just on others, but on ourselves. And Paul says that what will eventually happen is that we will all reach unity in the faith and in the knowledge of the Son of God and become mature, attaining to the whole measure of the fullness of Christ. That's great, but it's not what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is the next verse. Then we will no longer be infants, tossed back and forth by the waves, and blown here and there by every wind of teaching, and by the cunning and craftiness of men in their deceitful scheming. The mark of a mature Christian is that he or she is not easy to move from the truth. Paul knew that around Ephesus and in the Lycus Valley, there were lots of trade routes, and so caravans, vehicles, camels, people were moving through all the time. And in their wake, in the wake of the traders, came the teachers, the philosophers, the rhetoricians, the scholars of grammar, the people who wanted to start a religious cult. There were a babel of voices, thousands and thousands of voices that people in Ephesus, Colossae, Laodicea and places like that had to listen to day by day. How could they tell who was really telling the truth and who was using the cunning and craftiness of men and deceitful scheming to take them away from the truth? Paul knew that immature Christians were a bit like a rowing boat that isn't properly tethered, insecurely tethered to the shore. And so when the wind comes and the storms blow, it's tossed about by the waves and blown about by the winds, and it's here, there and everywhere, and it doesn't know where to fix itself. It has no deep mooring. So what Paul's saying is that one mark of maturity is that we know the truth and we're anchored deep in the truth. We believe that at Belmont Chapel, which is why we place so much emphasis on teaching. But don't run away with the idea that I'm just talking about head knowledge, about having a Moore College degree or something like that, having O-levels and AS levels and A-levels and degrees. That's not what it's about. Because look at where this maturity comes from, and also what it leads to. Where does it come from? Well, from the fact that we're doing acts of service for God. In other words, knowing the truth is not simply a matter of mugging it up intellectually. It's a matter of living it out in practice. And the more we're obedient to God and living lives of service to Him, the more we will know the truth at its nitty-gritty, day-to-day life, rubber hits the road level. And that's how we need to know it. And where's this truth going to? Well, Paul says when we're mature, speaking the truth in love will in all things grow up into Christ. That's great, isn't it? So the truth isn't something that's supposed to make you proud and arrogant and bigoted, dogmatic. I've got the truth and you haven't. Repent right now, brother. It's not like that. Speaking the truth in love is the outcome of the whole thing. And the more of a grasp of God's truth you've got, the more you'll be able to look lovingly and deal lovingly with other people. May you do that today, and may you grow up in all things into Him who is the head, even Christ.
Mm-hmm.